didn't get a chance to do a live review for AEW Dynamite this past week. Obviously, I just been having a very hectic month, but I watched AEW Dynamite episode 250, and it opened up with probably what I would call the greatest match in AEW Dynamite history. And wow, I'm just super excited about it, and I want to talk about it. So if you guys didn't know, AEW had MJF compete against Will Ospreay for the International Championship. One of the biggest things that people were saying online was that maybe this match should be on a pay-per-view and it shouldn't be wasted for TV. I want to talk about that point first before I talk about the match. AEW is in renegotiations for their TV deal. And what that means is that AEW needs to do some of their biggest matches and some of the biggest TV episodes every single week in hopes of getting the most amount of money for their TV deal. So yeah, this should have been a pay-per-view match. It could have been a pay-per-view match. And it will probably be a pay-per-view match again at some point in the future. And I'll be honest with you guys, I did not expect Will Ospreay to lose this match. So it makes a lot of sense for AEW to kick off the episode in such a big way, especially when you consider the lead-in with Big Bang Theory. From a business perspective, it just made a lot of sense. I also didn't expect this match to go 59 minutes long, but that's essentially what happened. AEW had a 60-minute timer on this match, and they literally went down to the final 2 seconds, and MJF pulled it off. So I think that was actually a very bold strategy, but it was a very good strategy. Sometimes the issue is when you have too long of a match, especially opening the show, people get bored, and maybe they might flip the channel. I don't think that's the case with this match. I also think there's a lot of criticism of MJF that is particularly not fair to MJF. I think MJF is a very, very good worker. I think more people forget that he's a good worker. He's more than just a guy that can cut a promo. He has shown us time and time again in AEW that when it comes to storytelling in matches, he is incredible. But also from an in-ring perspective, the way he moves and his confidence and the way he does everything, his mannerisms, the movesets. I mean, from that perspective, people are sleeping on MJF. And this match had a little bit of everything. A lot of intensity, a really good pace, controlling the pace. At moments, it was really fast. At moments, it got really slow. At moments, things were happening out of nowhere. The reason why I mention that is because if you're going to have a very long match, you need to have all of those elements in that match to keep people hooked. Now, people are going to be subjective, and that's completely fine because everything is opinion-based, obviously. What you like is what you like, and what I like is what I like. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that this match literally had everything to appease all kinds of fans, which is so important. When I say it's the greatest match in AEW Dynamite history, I'm not talking about it just from an in-ring perspective. I'm talking about it from a perspective that made me actually feel hooked from the minute it started to the very second that it ended. I don't know what my expectations were. I don't know what they were for this match prior, but I will say that when I was watching this match, I was really impressed with the fact that the entire time I really thought MJF had no chance to win. Based on how the story's been told, based on the stuff that's actually happening in the match, I did not expect MJF to walk out as the international champion. So as you can imagine, this match had a very huge shock factor to me when MJF pulled off the win at the end, especially with just seconds left. I think it was like 2 seconds left, and he literally pulled it off. I was anticipating Will Ospreay kicking out. I often talk about on my channels that when you could suspend disbelief for just a moment, that is a great thing that you can do in pro wrestling. Like, it's good for fans to kind of forget that it's scripted. And I actually thought towards the end of this match, when MJF pinned him, the first thought in my mind was, I don't know if that was supposed to happen. Obviously it did. And obviously it was supposed to happen. That was the point of it. But I was so hooked throughout the match that I was genuinely shocked that MJF won. What I love so much about this match too is that it kind of made me buy in a little bit more to the International Championship. I feel like that title is a cool title belt. I feel like it started off kind of hot with Orange Cassidy. But then at some point along the way, it was just another title. And having MJF, a guy who is not going to be competing for the world championship right now, hold that title is a very good thing. Because at some point, MJF is going to have to drop that belt. And I want to talk about who should be the one to dethrone MJF for that belt. It's the guy that I feel who has been underutilized this entire time in AEW. But he has history with MJF. And there is definitely a way to circle back to it. If you can't tell who I'm talking about right now, I, of course, am talking about Wardlow. And I do think at some point, Wardlow should be the one to dethrone MJF. The problem is, when you do start and stop pushes, people lose momentum and people don't necessarily get excited anymore. And I do think AEW has to get to the point where people could get excited about Wardlow again. And I'm just kind of in a situation right now where I think Wardlow should be the one to dethrone MJF. Whoever beats MJF could be a made star. Because I do feel like MJF is the notable name in AEW. But then you have to wonder, will Adam Cole ever get back to MJF? Because maybe that's the route that they decide to go here. But I think there's so much steam being lost in that particular story where I don't know if people will be as interested, but more people would be interested in Wardlow because he obviously needs it a little bit more. But I'm going to tell you guys, like, dead ass honestly, like, I feel like this match was so damn good. And I feel like AEW for a while has needed that kind of match to happen on live television. I really do. Now, I'm sure somebody will leave a comment about ratings, because the ratings at some point will come out. Maybe they're good, maybe they're bad, I don't know. I know people are posting pictures of the hard cam side being empty. But I do feel like the last several weeks of AEW has been the strongest weeks of television in years from a consistent basis. So, in my opinion, I want them to keep up this momentum. I want them to keep doing cool things like this. And I want MJF to be the international champion and hold it for a while and make it feel as important as possible. Swerve is doing a fantastic job as a world champion. The TNT championship to me feels like it's in limbo. I don't know if AEW could afford a bad title reign for MJF. And because it's the international championship, I would like to see more new faces compete against MJF for that belt. Also, I think Daniel Garcia is somebody who should hold that belt as well. And we have seen a little bit of a connection there on TV in recent months. So who knows what is next? But when you have something this good, your job is to follow up. And I hope AEW does it right.